Welcome to BeerNet Radio. Listen to on every continent except Antarctica.
Good morning.
Good morning.
How are you, Jordan?
Good. I like the hat.
Thank you. Somebody sent it to me.
Probably Dave Duffy.
Yes, it was Dave. I think he just left Howdy Beer, actually.
Yeah, he's at the Shoots.
Okay, good. Good for him.
Yeah.
I mean, not that anyone's better than the other, but good. If you send me a hat, I will wear it. And a good 75 people will see this. I was talking about this with Juan this morning. I was like, I want people to watch the podcast. Like, that's what I want. But the majority of people listen to it. And I can't make people do what I want them to do as much as I want it. If that's how they want to consume this fantastic content, Jordan, then that's how they're going to consume it. And who am I to tell people what to do? But you're missing out, folks, because I'm wearing a Howdy hat. What's
the time
that?
to listen to it is when you're driving or when you're
Oh,
exercising. Oh, here we go.
Jen is wearing a giant banana. So as you can see, our highbrow humor has gotten even better, which we do not take ourselves very seriously at this company. Unlike those people at Good Beer Hunting, can you believe the tweet that Michael Kaiser put out today? That I didn't see it because he's blocked me, thank God. But somebody sent it to me, and he accuses Boston Beer of being racist because Friday Beers is they're sponsoring Friday Beers, which it wasn't even, he misheard it. It wasn't even racist. But, does everything have to start there with him? Friday Beers is just a silly meme account created by a couple of kids doing funny/stupid stunts. And yeah, maybe the cousin from Boston isn't the most hilarious thing, but it's, Boston Beer is targeting young men because they drink a lot of beer. Guess what? Newsflash. Oh, God, I don't know. Anyway, let's get off that.
Your cousin from Boston.
Yeah, Boston Beer, the rowdy cousin from Boston, they're doubling down on that campaign because it sold beer. And it appeals to people. It's funny. It's not snobby. It relates to almost everybody. And it doesn't take itself so seriously. And, Kraft's numbers right now, I think, are because it took itself so seriously for so long, and people have been through COVID. They don't want that anymore. They want fun. Young people especially.
Yeah, Kraft's BPI numbers have really tinkled the bed. It's at 23, which is, I think it's maybe, if not the all-time low, among its all-time lows. So,
man.
But what's interesting, I mean, obviously we are where we are in the economy, and what's interesting is this, while it's still at 59, imports reading is the lowest it's been all year. So I don't know.
I think, honestly, the recession's finally hitting us, and I think stimmy dollars are run out, and high interest rates and high inflation. Summer's over, thank goodness. So at least we have 6 months to kind of get our act together, but doesn't look good to me.
For Kraft, I mean, it really is just becoming more and more about high ABV, and we've been talking about how Kraft was going to have to deal with their calorie count. I think after seltzers, and everyone's just much more aware of what the calories are for beers. And for Kraft, the light beers, the wheat ales that are still 5% but closer to 200 calories, nobody wants to drink those, I don't think, anymore. And so it's just becoming more of a high ABV play. It's just more of a indulgent kind of transition beer between light beer and spirits or wine, I think.
I mean, that, Lester Jones said it years ago. Millennials are going to start getting fat when they get older, and that's a tough bridge to fall to whatever. It's interesting to me that Boston Beer is going lighter, reformulating not only Truly, but Sam Adams and some of their other beers to make them more sessionable.
But they've been doing that for years. It's pretty funny. They did that 2 years ago with Cold Snap and with Winter Lager. I don't know what happened with the Boston Lager Remastered, because they announced that last year. So I don't know if that just didn't get done until now or what, but obviously, they did it with Rebel IPA back in 2017. But the interesting thing to me is like, we always say that we don't report on flavor because flavor is so subjective. But clearly, Boston thinks that people actually care about flavor and that there is such thing as better flavor, or maybe it's just like another excuse to remarket the brand. Like, we have something to talk about. We reformulated it again, right? Like, it confuses me a little bit.
Well, we don't talk about flavor just because we don't want to say a flavor is good or bad. Like, but I think the consumer definitely. Here's what I think, and I'm talking about the Truly side now. I think they miscalculated what people perceived hard seltzers to be. I think they pivoted Truly to take on High Noon with more flavor, and like the guy from Country Luau that we had on last week, Adam Koss, I think one of the interesting things he pointed out is that real juices and flavorings and malt beverages don't mix well. Spirits and real natural flavors do, and that's, I think, part of High Noon's success and why Truly tried to add flavor and White Claw stayed pat. Well, it turns out people buy hard seltzers because they don't have flavor and they have low calories and they're just a clean, easy drink, whereas spirit cocktail RTDs, you pay more for the flavor. So Truly was in a no man's land. What do you think?
Yeah.
I think what you were saying earlier is right on about the sessionability, because with the Truly Margarita, the Truly Lemonade, you might have 2 of those and then say, okay, I don't know if I can have any more. And then the lighter flavors, the White Claws, you might have 4 or 5 of those before you're like, okay, I need to move on to something else.
We know I think do that for sure.
Right, but that makes it such a commodity, right? Like, how do you distinguish yourself when you just taste like nothing, right? Like, I think this is all just signifying the churn, and it's just like we have to do something different now, right? Because remember when those high flavors did really well for them? They did good, tea and lemonade and all that stuff did really great for them, and now it's like, oh, pivot for less flavor. And I know they're doing it among their core lineup, but it's churn, right? They're just doing something because they have to do something. They have to have a reason
Jen,
for news.
Like
right?
you say, they're fast followers. That's been a very successful strategy for them, and I think that's what they're doing. It's fast following back to White Claw because they're doing well, and then they're coming out with Truly vodka soda and tequila soda to take on High Noon.
So 2 things that are hilarious about that to me is, one, this is where we are. This is how ridiculous the industry is right now. Malt seltzer was like, hey, look at vodka tonic or like vodka seltzer. We're going to make something to compete with vodka seltzer. So then malt seltzer did that. Then High Noon was like, we're going to make a vodka seltzer to compete with your malt seltzer that competed with the vodka seltzer. And now malt seltzer is like, we're going to make a vodka seltzer to compete with the vodka seltzer that was supposed to compete with the malt seltzer that imitate, like, really? Like,
you're exactly right.
Are we surprised that this whole thing is imploding? Like, it's ridiculous.
It's hard to take you seriously when you're wearing a banana hat, but I think you're absolutely
banana,
right.
Okay.
You are. You're kind of feisty this afternoon. I halfway waiting to see that you're going to accuse somebody on Twitter of being racist.
Oh God. One more thing. Wait, let me take this train off the Kaiser
No,
tracks.
I want you to say what you're going to say with the banana hat on.
Banana time. Can we have like a peanut butter jelly video going across our... No, real quick. The other thing I want to say about fast follower, and then I'll shut up. Okay, you guys were talking about the tequila seltzers, and like, I feel like 2 years ago at this point, Jay, we were writing like, the next wave is going to be tequila seltzers. The next wave is going to be tequila seltzers. And we were like, I guess this wave isn't coming. Well, here it is. Why did it take them so long to get to market, right? Like 2 years later, is it surprising that everybody's coming out with a tequila seltzer at the same time?
Well,
like,
it is.
Can we do this faster?
Yeah, you're always ahead. Why did it take Reyes so long to enter Texas? And when you called it out 2 years ago,
someone had to be willing to sell.
Just for the record, Jen tried to put that in our predictions last January, and I was like, nah, it's not going to happen this year. And you were right. I was wrong.
Jen's always right.
Jen's always right.
Not always. Not
Jordan
always.
said I was always right on the last podcast. I think he said it because you weren't on here. He was just trying to be.
I say both y'all are always right, and y'all have different opinions, but y'all make it work.
What's that say about you? Well, Jordan, you're normally right.
Yeah.
When
Jordan
you
is
speak.
normally right.
I keep it to myself.
Yeah.
On the tequila seltzers, I think what maybe held off on what we're seeing now for a while was the wave of malt-based tequila stuff.
Yeah.
Ranch waters, malt-based margaritas.
Katie Bill Brown.
Yeah, and people, did that for as long as they could. And now it's like, okay, well, if we're going with vodka seltzers, might as well get in tequila seltzers as well. And, I mean, it kind of makes you wonder if Katie Bill Brown is going to do a tequila seltzer sometime soon, too. Yeah. It seems like everybody's going there. I don't know. We talked about it with the Country Luau guy. I think it's too expensive. I think it's really, really expensive. And the people that can buy High Noon, it's a certain group of people. I mean, $25 for a 12-pack of basically 5% beer. It's not that many people that can do that. And if you look at the numbers, yeah, they're growing like crazy, but it's still a really, really small base compared to malt. Yep. And
that's a good point.
Know.
There might be a big ceiling on what that price point can do, and we might have hit it, like with the recession and inflation. But
exactly. Especially now, I would not be surprised if High Noon slowed significantly next year.
Interesting. So we're predicting the cratering of Spirit RTDs.
Well, the cratering of High Noon trends. I wouldn't say the whole category, but like.
And I just. I wonder how big it can get, like you were talking about. There's a ceiling there. And another thing we were talking about with the Country Luau guy is he kind of made it seem like, oh, yeah, if we get equivalency, then all the prices will come down. I don't know if that's a guarantee.
Right.
I mean, if you're already selling right here and people are buying it, unless they're seeing a ceiling, then, yeah, maybe they will cut down. But if not, why would they?
I know he seemed very confident about that, and I didn't say anything, but I was like, yeah, I don't think that's happening.
You did, Harry. You were like, well, that'll take a while, but
I guess I did say something rude to a guest. That
wasn't rude. It was realistic. You were tethering him back, bringing the balloon back to Earth.
What do you think about this side camera?
That's pretty sweet.
And look, I'm going.
What happened to your whiskeys? What happened to your whiskey bottles? Did you use them?
They're all here.
Oh, okay. Are you going to do a malt fireball taste testing? Is that?
Shush your mouth, Jen. These are surprises that I'm keeping. But I'm going to So this, I know you need to get off, Jen, but you're going to California to. So just for background, of course, the California beer distributors have split into two associations. The old one is the California Beer and Beverage Distributors, who are having their convention next week, and they asked me to speak first, so I'm going there. And Jen is speaking at the California Family Beer Distributors, which are mostly the AB distributors who broke off after they got terminated by Modelo. But basically, I'm just speaking to Reyes, I guess, and you're speaking to everyone else. But I'm bringing this 20-pound vlogging camera. I'm dying to be a vlogger, and I don't know how to do it because I turn the camera on and I just don't know what to do with my hands.
I'm sure Reyes will have no problem with you filming.
Yeah, I know. Tommy, what? Shoving this in his face? What? Why are you so mean to craft brewers or whatever?
You should dress up as Comic the Insult. Wait.
Yeah, Triumph the Insult.
Triumph. God, I'm so old. BT Dubs, I'm not speaking, so.
Oh.
That's fine. I spoke enough in the last.
You've spoken. Yes. Okay.
In the last few weeks.
Good. Well, I'm exhausted. I know y'all are exhausted.
Oh wait, Harry, you wanted to talk about Southern Glazers or no?
I actually I had Sarah on earlier.
Oh, okay. Perfect.
We laid down a segment, as they say in the biz. We laid down a quick segment on that, Jen, and
Crazy.
we really didn't have anything to add to the story. We were just like, wow,
speculating.
That's pretty big. It's a pretty big deal.
I have one question I wanted to ask real quick, and y'all, it might be stupid, but let's see. Do you think over the next year we'll see more malt-based brands going into spirits, or more spirits brands going into malt?
Ooh, good question, Jay. That's a good question.
Malt going into spirits so far.
Probably.
But with the success of Fireball, malt-based versions, and then Jack Daniel's Country Cocktails, and now Beam getting into Kentucky Coolers, I think they've kind of figured out a way to expand that brand at a lower price point.
But you know what's interesting about that is that those are all like whiskey plays, right? So like I think there's a ceiling on the amount of like spirits products or malt products that can mimic spirits, right? Like, so Bill, or maybe I'm confusing it, but like when Bill found out about the malt-based Fireball, he was like, whoa, why don't more brands do that? And I was like, well, this is like a sugary, cinnamony thing that like could be of any base, right? Like it's easy to conceal. So I think that's kind of a special case, but it's interesting for sure.
Anything you could take a shot of. But I mean, Smirnoff Ice, that's been around forever. So I mean, there is opportunity for vodka too. I just don't.
I think you're onto something, Jordan, because Boston made a big deal out of the Jack Daniel's Country Cooler or Kentucky
Coolers.
Kentucky Cooler, which to me I was like, God, that seems so 90s. Like, but you know, trends come back because we had that back in the 90s. But there might be something to that. I think definitely anything that can come in a shot, or you know, like this, like you know, these are all fake cinnamon whiskeys. They're all wine based. You know, this is just a little whiskey shot. You know, these are all in C-stores.
Yeah, behind the glass next to all the CBD stuff.
Yeah, and the erection pills, which the guy keeps trying to sell me. I'm like, what?
If you go that route, we'll be here all day.
I know. Let's try and get off here without getting canceled.
We've done enough damage.
I think so. All right, guys, we'll have a good week. Sarah, I wanted to talk real quickly about TTB and IRS raid on Southern Glazers in California on their offices. Apparently, computers were taken out, and there were several agents there. So, like I said, we don't know anything, but it seems like more than just like a trade violation. But it could be just a trade violation, and maybe they just were bored and agents needed something. I mean, who knows? Just wanted to acknowledge that it's happened, you know, and we're going to keep our ears open to try and figure out what's going on there, because it is a big deal. Because whenever the feds are involved, that means there is always the chance of a license revocation for a distributor like Southern Glazers, that's the largest by far. You know, losing your license would be a huge deal.
It could just be a show because they're the largest, you know what I mean? Like, even if it is something small, but to make a big impact, you have to make a bigger splash, right? Because they could kind of easily push like a little fine under the rug, you know, but if it's something that the TTB wants to really show that they are there and doing something about it, then you'd want it to be bigger news, right? As TTB, not as Southern, obviously.
Right. And I think that's a great point. I mean, you know, TTB has become much more active in trade practice violations, and mostly by levying fines that, you're right, don't get much play. We always report it, but it's not a huge story. It's usually in the hundreds of thousands. Sometimes, you know, AB got pinged by like 5 million. So sometimes it is a big 7-figure, but I'm wondering if you're right. The TTB is like, look, we're serious about this. We're going to make a big show, and this is, you know, getting raided by federal agents is a big deal no matter what it's for. And it might be a wake-up call for the industry, because I think everybody's hands are dirty, and, you know, just a matter of what degree. like I said at the beginning, everybody's handing out coasters and glassware, and some people are putting in refrigerators and flat screen TVs and draft systems, and how far can you go? And the TTB seems to be saying, at least in the last few years, hey guys, we're done with this dirty business. We've looked away mainly because we've been under resourced, but clean your act up. And anyway, just wanted to touch with you. Thanks for hopping on this, Sarah.